not being able to express your ideas. It means not being able to express your opinion. It means not being able to hope for a better future, and especially since you had no control over your future. And that's one of the scariest and worst part of living in authoritarian countries. It means to dream about fleeing instead of about building a family or finding a job in your own country. And these are things that for people like me coming from a democratic country, but for many other people on this planet, is simply unacceptable to think that something like that will happen. But the truth is that it's already happening in many places around the planet. And if we are careful, if we don't stand for freedom, it may happen everywhere. And what I want to point out is that we read every day we read about attacks on activists, crackdown on protesters, horrible crimes, tortures, violence. But despite that, nothing really changes. Our governments look the other way. That's the sad truth. And at best, when we are very lucky, our governments might condemn the attack, might condemn the crackdown, while signing a trade deal with the perpetrators. These has just happened, for example, in the European Union, where I come from, where we saw the Germany and France at the forefront of this effort, basically condemned for a long time Hong Kong, the crackdown in Hong Kong, the crackdown with the Uyghurs, to then sign a trade deal that hopefully will be halted somehow. But it's a trade deal with China, with the state that is committing so many atrocities, and we know about it. They are documented, they are not allegations. We know that Hong Kong is losing its freedom. We know that there is a huge ethnic group, the Uyghurs, that is interned in camps. And despite that, countries like France, like Germany, like many other European member states, they should be, according to their own say, the beacon of freedom and hope for the world, are still signing trade deals because it's convenient to them. And I think this is the biggest crime that we're witnessing, and this actually is something that history will remember. And I say that not only because, I think about the future and I'm really open-minded, no, because we've already seen this happening. When did we become so blind? When did we get used to look the other way and forget that people are actually suffering? During the Second World War, and I say it as an Italian, so a country and a citizen of a country that has experienced the full horror of the Second World War, the same thing happened. Before the Second World War, dictatorships were welcome in the corridors of powers of democratic countries to discuss trade, to shake hands, with the hope that these dictators would, after a while, normalize and become part of the global order. It never happened. It never happened. And because of what happened in the Second World War, we as citizens should know the authoritarian regimes are not counterparts for friendly talks, but they should be held accountable for the horrific crimes they are undertaking. And I really don't understand and cannot accept our democratic leaders keep on looking the other ways and do not look dictators in the eyes and say, this is not acceptable, we won't continue working with you unless you stop. But hopefully, there is also some hope in everything we are seeing. Today, for example, the UK government announced details for a new visa scheme for over 2.9 million people in Hong Kong. This means that a huge share of the Hong Kong population will be able to escape the iron fist of China and actually find refuge in the United Kingdom, which is a democratic country. This is a huge opportunity for many people that do not have a future in their own country, either because they protested and they've been active to fight back, and so now they are target of the regime, or simply because they don't want to grow old and grow a family in a country where you can't express your voice, you can't even sing anymore certain songs because you risk being jailed for that. And so today is a great day, and we must celebrate these lifeboat policies that has been proposed by the United Kingdom, that, to be fair, is one of the most active governments on this issue. But however, it's not enough, because this policy only covers those born before 1997, before the transition of Hong Kong from the United Kingdom to China. That means that many young activists of 20 years old that fought on the barricades for months to free Hong Kong, or at least to defend the little democracy that was in Hong Kong, are now not covered by this type of policy. And so we must do more, we must help them. And there is another good news. As you know, there's been a change of administration in the United States, and President Biden has taken over. And President Biden has already expressed the hope that democratic countries can come together to find a common policy, a common position to, let's say, offer a coordinated response to authoritarian states. And this is extremely welcome, and it goes in the way of the United Kingdom hosting the G7 this June here in Cornwall, and inviting India, South Korea, and Australia, so creating a group of 10 countries, 10 democracies that might actually stand for freedom. So these are extremely welcome news, and these actually go completely in line with the work that we have done now for the last 6 months, the work of advocating for a league of democracy, the dream of having democracies from all over the planet coming together to protect and innovate democracy. And this is something that we truly hope to see happen very soon, because, as we said, democracy is sadly in retreat. The influence of countries like Russia, China, Venezuela is growing, and we are sadly backing off. And this is because no single country can stand alone against the economic might of China. We have understood that by now. No single country can even sanction Chinese officials in a responsible way. And so we believe that by binding together democratic countries, there is a hope of strengthening the democratic front and ensuring that countries like China, Russia, understand that they cannot continue to behave this way and be accepted in the international sphere. So we are advocating for the creation of the League of Democracy. We are doing so by protesting every week, as I said, by lobbying politicians, and by especially pushing for this G7 meeting in June to have a motion where countries might agree or start contemplating the idea of creating a League of Democracies to fight back. This was the message that I really wanted to send to our audience as one of the co-founders of this initiative. And now I'm extremely delighted to introduce you to two of our wonderful guests today. I will start first with Nadezhda from Russia. She's a human rights lawyer, and she's been an activist for a long time, and she's gonna help understand better what's happening in Russia today, especially with the arrest of Navalny and the riots and the protests that followed, and what the international community should do to support Russians seeking democracy and freedom. So I don't know if Nadezhda, you can hear me, you can unmute.
Hello everybody, thank you for inviting me today, and thank you that you pay attention, big attention for Russia today, because it looks that without international support and then without international community, Russian citizens can't win this fight. What is happening now in Russia? First of all, I represent myself. My name is Nadezhda Kutepova. I'm an advocate and the head of Russian NGO, the Planet of Hopes, who were created to defend the rights of people who were irradiated in little closed Russian city. And almost 10 years ago, Vladimir Putin began his fight against civil society, and he cited many laws against civil society, including the law about foreign agents. Foreign agents, for opinion of Vladimir Putin, it's NGO who are working with the foreign monies, who follows the foreign goals. It means that official policy of Vladimir Putin that civil society works against Russian society. And according to this law, my NGO were named like a foreign agent, and I had to escape my country to avoid prison, and now I'm admitted like a political refugee in France. You know that Vladimir Putin received power in 1999, officially in 2000, and today we are already in 2021. And during all this time, he tried to change the rules, and each time he changed the Russian constitution in 2020 to be always in power. The problem is that it's not democratical way. The power should be changed. And the second thing, it's power of Putin is absolutely corrupted now. The level of people who are living in Russian province is very low now. And can you imagine that this rich country with such rich people around the world have not in Russian province even usual canalization and toilets? It's with -30. And they have medical care, they have many problems, they can't to buy usual food, Russian pensioners. And that's why Navalny began their research about Russian corruption and where the money, this rich country, these rich people, where the money. And the team of Navalny founded and make some research and have founded that Russian oligarchs and Vladimir Putin stolen many money and keep them in foreign banks. And the last reportage which Navalny made, it was about the palace, new palace of Putin, who were identified of south of Black Sea, and he showed how many money were stolen and by which corrupted way this money was stolen by Putin and his team in the state enterprises to build this palace. And can you imagine this huge contradiction when from one part Russian pensioners come to buy the bread and milk for every day, and from another part it's Vladimir Putin with his palace on the great grand area with many things which is real riches. So, and Navalny, who opened this information, is not good for Russian authority. Putin does not want to have concurrence. That's why he decided to poison Navalny, and he did it. It was proved by a special team. But Navalny, he is a real hero. He decided to back to Russia to show that we should to have a fear. We should not forget that why Russian people not so active with all this type of violation, because we remember the Soviet Union and the Stalin time and repression when the people were absolutely unlawfully arrested and put to prison and killed. That's why Putin, who began his career in this special secret service who organized this repression in the Soviet Union, tried to make the same things with the Russian society, with Russian law today. That's why he arrested immediately Navalny, and by unlawful way, it was made without special court proceeding, absolutely unlawfully. And you know, the people who come to the streets for 21st January, they were absolutely angry about this situation. Somebody were not glad by the level of lies, somebody were shocked by violation of even Russian legislation about the crimes, and some of them died from the corruption and absence of money. But Putin said that all people who came to the street, it was unlawful manifestation which were not authorized by the authority, because now, for reason of coronavirus, we should have a special regime. At the same moment, you know that the next day of the arrest of Navalny, many his collaborators and even parents of collaborators and even parents of different activists in many parts of Russia were arrested, and they had search warrant. and it was absolutely unlawful. It means that with everybody it can happen in any moment. You will be arrested unlawfully. And Putin announced for Russian people that it's not a Russian democracy who should be defended, it's enemies who want to destroy our Russia. It's not true. It's not true, because the goal of Russian people, a goal of Mr. Navalny, to show truth and to make democratical changes in Russian society. That's why now the pressure of international community is so important for our country, because the situation looks a little bit hypocrite. What does it mean? It does mean that from one side, Eastern countries supports Mr. Navalny and they demand sanction and they demand to have a liberty for them. But from another side, we see that commercial meeting in the Swiss, where Vladimir Putin made a big speech for the businessman. So it's a little bit not right when one hand makes good things and another hand makes contradictional things. So if we want that Russia have a democracy, we should be very strict and very clear for one way. For example, if you violate the democratic rules, you will have a sanction, financial sanction, because if from one side, like I already told, that we take money of Russian corrupted authorities, and from one side we say that stop to be corrupted, it's not. It's a little bit contradictional. That's why the media, it's so important to show and to tell truth about what is happening in Russia. And Russian people, they just want to express their right to be heard and their right to elect the new power, new authority. But Vladimir Putin does not want. He wants to be eternal president. And we are Russians and we are against.
Thank you so much, Nadezhda. It's very, very powerful word, and I really hope that our members and followers will listen to this call and keep on fighting alongside all the Russians like you that are doing their best.
For your solidarity, thank you.
Thank you so much. Pam, are you there for us? Yes, perfect. So I'm gonna now hand the mic to Pam. She's a Thai activist. She has been protesting with us in the streets of London a few weeks back, and now she's going to participate today to tell us about what's going on in Thailand and the ongoing struggle for democracy in the country.
Hi everyone, can you hear me good? Okay, so my name is Pam, and right now I am a student in the UK, and before that I was a student activist back in my hometown, Bangkok, Thailand. I will just start with my personal story, just for you to get to know me a little bit more. So, back in around 2014, I was a student in my undergrad in Bangkok, and I was doing activist stuff like pro-democracy stuff, like what you guys doing today. And then there's a coup happened in my hometown, so we start to become more active, and then the government start to use a repression against us. It's the same pattern that happened to everywhere in the world with the dictatorship regime. So people cannot go out and protest the government because they will just arrest us. They will use the law against us. I think that's a new tactic that they learn from each other. You know, from the past they can just crush us, right? They can just use violence. But now the dictatorship, they adapting, they use the law against us, and I think this is important because the dictatorship have friends. They learn from each other. The Thai government is now close with China more than ever. So this is the point. That is why we as a resistance need to work together to to learn about the tactics, to learn about the way with each other, share the idea and everything to fight against them, because they're working together, they learn the technique together. So we need to adapt as well and learn together our own ways to fight with them. So the situation in Thailand right now, as I said, it's totally the same with the other dictatorship regime. You know, people was jailed, they were mistreated, they were persecuted, but most of people, not just Thai people, but the people who were replaced by their own government, they made a hard choice to refuse to revenge them, to use a violent way to fight back. No, they still keeping the protest in the peaceful way, and I think that's a good sign that we will never choose the violent way to fight back. And you know, the situation in Hong Kong today, when the arrested, where there's a big arrested to the politician and the leader like Joshua Agnes, it's also happening in Thailand as well. A lot of leaders from the protest, from who led the organized protest, they were arrested, and then and then they can't do nothing else except to accept the fact that they will have to face the jail time or a fine, which is something that absolutely unacceptable for us. So I think this is the good opportunity for us to try to learn from each other, to try to gain the ideas about how to fight back to them in a non-violent way. So the situation in Thailand right now is also in a critic way, because the people is openly fight against the king, the monarchy, which is absolutely untouchable from the past. So this is quite a new experience from us all, because you know, Russian people, they fight with Putin. That's a very, very brave, because Putin is also a very, very powerful man. But Thai people also fighting with their king. So it's the same way everywhere. Hong Kong people fighting with Xi Jinping regime, same way. So this is why it's very important for us to learn from each other. And I also want to say that, you know, the Western government, they can also contribute to us, because as a small country, Thailand, everyone think of Thailand, oh, it's a nice country, isn't it? Cheap beer, nice beach, everyone want to go there, travel there. But then people don't aware, like people don't think too much about their politics, which is the international community can help put more awareness to the people that you know, there's a repression going on in there. They're crushing people. They're using a law against their own people. So they are openly violate the human rights. So this is something that the international community should keep in mind, that they can raise their voice to support the Thai people that are fighting against the king, the monarchy regime that is very outdated right now. And so this is why I want to use this platform. And thank you so much everyone for listening to us, because we are, as I say, we are from a very small country, and you know, people might not know much about what is going on in there, because when things happen, we don't get to publish the news on the front page. It's not like Russian, because everyone know about Russian, right? I even follow the news on Russia, because you know, if Russian people can show spirit, they are protesting in the snow, and if they can show spirit to overthrow the Putin regime, that is a big move to the world, and it's especially inspire us all, to people, especially like right now, as you mentioned, that the UK government gonna the UK government support the Hong Kong people by giving out the visa to the Hong Kong people. This is something that also help inspire Thai people as well, that okay, at least they know that the Western government still support the democracy. The signal from President Biden, as you mentioned before, it's a good signal for people like us to fight against the dictatorship regime. Also, but then there's always another side of the story. As you mentioned before, the Western government, like British government, also trade the deal with Thai government. Even they fully aware that Thai government is a dictatorship regime, but they don't care anyway. They try to seek a deal, not just a trade deal, but a weapon deal. That is absolutely unacceptable to trade weapon deals with the military regime. But on the other hand, they try to promote the democracy. They try to, value the human rights, environment. Try to promote that. This is something that we need to push on, and we can do it if we work together. If Thai people work alone, definitely not gonna work. You don't have power. But that's why I very, very hope that our platform, this platform, can help us to raise our voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam. It's been a very inspirational speech, and I especially like when you mentioned the fact that Thai people are not alone, and even if you're a relatively small country, all together we can support you. And this echoes what Nadezhda said. Russia, Thailand, Hong Kong, Belarus, Venezuela, we are in this together. And I say it because I've seen it. I've seen it in the eyes of people showing up at our protest, in the messages they receive every week. There is a real power in having protesters, activists, freedom fighters coming together to fight back. And so I completely welcome your words, and I just want to close this powerful protest, the first one that we're going to hold digitally, but hopefully we're going to have many more, saying to everyone that is following us, everyone that has followed our work, join us, participate, take a stance either with us or with any other organization, any other movement that you see standing for democracy and freedom. Why? Because if you do that, you're going to give a little drop of hope to those fighting for freedom in authoritarian countries, who don't have hope often. They are alone, they are oppressed. They know that even being on social media might land them a jail term. And this is, for me, one of the biggest crimes of our historical time, and we need to fight back. And if we unite, if we work together as one humankind, and we understand that my freedom is as important as the one of a Thai activist that is now awaiting trial, or one of the 12 Hong Kongers youth that have been jailed and have been detained without trial, or the life of the incredibly brave Russian protester that last Saturday, I believe, have stormed Moscow and have been fighting to free Navalny. And Navalny said, if we understand that the life of these people is as important as ours, the freedom of these people is as important as ours, we can win this fight. So I call upon not only the Thai, the Russian, and the Hong Kong people that are already fighting at the forefront, but I call upon the German, the Italian, the Americans, the Australians, the Japanese, to show solidarity. And not only by reading the news and talking at the dinner table with their friends, oh, it's horrible what's going on in Russia, but actually take action, show it in the street, petition your government, donate to a cause, but make sure that those people like Joshua Wong, they are now jailed and do not have a voice anymore, are not forgotten. It's our task, it's our duty. We can't let it go. it will take 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. We are going to be here. We're going to have the same Zoom call in 2050 with our gray hair and saying, hey guys, we made it. We actually made it. But to achieve that goal, to see democracy prevail, also in the darkest corner of this planet, we must start now. And this is why I'm extremely happy that activists like Pam and Nadezhda have joined us today, and many more will keep on joining us, because we need to hear the testimony, the witness, the words of people coming from those realities, and understanding that the only way forward is together. The only way forward is together. Only united we cannot be defeated. This is something that we always say at Now. United we cannot be defeated. And that's, I think, for me, the strongest message that I've learned by listening to activists like you at our protest. Understanding the huge privilege that I have of living in a free country. And my task is not only to protect my rights, but it's the one of fighting for the rights of everyone else on this planet that deserve the same opportunities and freedoms that I had. And no one deserves to end up in jail because of a tweet, of a message, of a protest. So I'm sure that through events like this, through protests like this, we can motivate even one extra person to join the fight. And that one extra person might be the single drop to tilt the balance in our favor. So as I said, I'm extremely glad to have people like you joining us. I'm extremely glad to see protests every Fridays all over the planet. I'm extremely glad to see the freedom is not dead. We are fighting for it. It's not the easiest moment in history for those that love freedom and democracy, but it's the moment where it's most important to stand our ground and fight back. So I thank you all for attending. We're gonna keep this same ceremony, same protest every week until we achieve our goal. So this is everything from Fridays for Freedom. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Nadezhda. Thank you to all our followers. Let's keep on fighting, because united we are stronger, and united we can be defeated. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. And solidarity.